Hi, Professor Black. This was a great week, week 6. Like a lot of the comments I have on the reading are very random, but that doesn't accurately reflect the sense I have of the idea of connection or connectedness. I feel like this week, maybe just in the scope of the course for me personally, but just in everything we were reading, that seemed to be so much of a theme that kept jumping out at me was connectedness. So despite the randomness of this, I feel a sense of connecting, like a snapping together of pieces. I was excited about the epistles because I love the epistles, like probably everybody does, because we can have that consumeristic approach to, oh, this is going to help me tell me how to do my life. But I was not surprised. And was happy to receive the fact that it seems easy to interpret them, but it's not at all. It was just kind of fascinating to think of them as a form of ancient letters. I loved this. Oh my gosh, it has avocado on it. I know. And I'm going to keep reading it. Just really was helpful for my way of processing and thinking, but just for that general kind of scope of this is where he was, and this is what he did, and this is where he wrote this, and this is what happened the letters back. It was just connecting those dots, snapping those pieces together about the journey that ended up in the writing of all of these epistles. So I felt like we were kind of on the journey with him, and it just helped me see where he was going and where he went and all that. Fee, who you know I have a little bit of a love affair with, did a lot of highlighting in Fee this week. He says things so profoundly to me. This one thing I just happened to open up on, which I had wanted to say, so that worked out well, was cultural relativity. What is cultural and therefore belongs to the first century alone, and what transcends culture and is thus a word for all seasons. So I felt like that very profoundly snapped together or connected the idea that of the occasional piece, which is a big point in all of the readings, that these were written for a specific purpose to a specific audience in the first century, and the danger of trying to make it mean something it couldn't have meant. I felt like that really summed it up pretty well. Definitely in terms of the application, which I talked about a lot in the, that is chapter 4. He just said in chapter 4. So also on page 62, that's probably in the previous chapter, he said how the mouth and the ear join the eye. And the sensory imagery of that. And then in Duval, I need to have a better relationship with Duval, but Duval said in the art of observation, right, when he started out on learning to see. So just these sensory images of how to zoom in and how to zoom out and how all those connections are important. I feel like somewhere else in Duval, he says, look for connections between episodes. So that, again, that was just kind of all about these connections. Back to Fee, I'd feel, well, actually I'd said it in a lot of places, including our micro lecture, but just the idea of thinking in paragraphs and coming up with those one things about what the paragraphs are and what's the point. I wanted to finish with something that Duval said here. He said, the Bible is not a book of abstract technical information. It's a book about relationships, primarily about relationships between God and people. And I'm over my time, but I'm going to say that I thought about that because I think sometimes we can think the Bible is a book about telling us how to have better relationships with each other. And I think that sometimes I can apply the epistles to that too, before thinking about how it applies to my relationship with God. So, thank you. Sorry I went over my time, but it's been a good week and we're on to the next.